Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be replacing the brake pads in my super cheap Shimano mechanical disc brake here. So basically I've been using these brake pads for almost 3 years, 2.5 years, and the last, I don't know, 8 months I've been commuting pretty heavily on this bike, and then the last couple months have been a lot of wet weather and snow and stuff like that. So looking at the pads, if you look at them from down below there, you can see that they're starting to get pretty worn out. So just going to go through the process of replacing these, and it's going to be a similar process to really any disc brake, mechanical or hydraulic out there. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright, so this is basically the tools we'll be using. Obviously we got the brake pads there, 2 new pads, a little spring, and then some of these little, I don't know, clevis pins or whatever those are called. Cotter pins, not sure. But got the pads, got a 3 and a 5mm Allen wrench. Got my calipers because I'm going to measure the rotor for wear, and then just some needle nose pliers. Alright, so first off we're going to measure the actual rotor thickness in this portion. I think new on Shimano's they are 1.8 millimeters, and they recommend a wear you can go as narrow as, once you get to 1.5 millimeters you want to replace it. So typically you'll have your wear area from, you know, about here on up. You can typically see where it's polished and shiny there, so I like to measure it where you've got these little divots. You can just put your calipers right there, and coming up with, I don't know, it was like 165 or so, 170. So I'm going to go ahead and run these for a little bit longer. Yeah, so first thing we want to do is just we're going to go ahead and pull the wheel out. Shift her all the way to the small cog there. Alright. Now we're ready to pull the pads out. Okay, so in my case here, there's that little screw, little Allen bolt there. We're gonna go ahead and remove that. We do have a little clip there on the back side of the little pin there. Pull this out. That's our little screw there. Alright, so got our little screw out, and then from here just push from the top. You can just pull the pads right out from there. Okay, so I got the brake pads out, and you know, as you can see, you got the spring here that, you know, basically helps expand the pads out. But you know, there's a little bit of meat left, but it's, you know, you can see it's almost to the point where it's almost about to contact the spring. So you'd never want to let them get any further than this, or you will, if it gets into that spring, or even, you know, the metal backing here, it's gonna start digging in and damaging your rotor there. So yeah, these definitely need to be replaced here. Alright, so I got my new pads here. So these were actually the G series instead of the B series that I showed initially. These are the GO1S, this is the GO2S, but it appears to be the the same shape and everything there, but let's see here. Alright, so with these, you get the pad itself, you get the spring, and then this one comes with just, you know, this little pin. Mine came with what was actually in the caliper was a threaded in pin, but I'm just going to reuse these. You know, some brakes will actually come with this pin that you insert it and then you just bend the end out there to hold it in place, but kind of like just being able to use a little Allen wrench to install it. But yeah, you can see there how much more meat is on these. So essentially what you do is just put the little spring there around the pad. Try not to touch the pad material if at all possible. And then basically we'll just kind of squeeze it together and then push it up in the caliper there. Okay, so before I actually put the pads up in there, what I'm going to do first is we're going to undo the pad adjuster here. I'll go ahead and take it most all the way out, because that's been adjusted in as the pads wear, so you want to maybe not go all the way out but most of the way. And then also on my cable adjuster here, I've actually got the cable loose, so it's all the way out. You know, being that this is a mechanical brake, the pad only comes in from this side. This side's going to be stationary. You know, a hydraulic pad, you would normally spread the two pistons apart, but that's another video for another time. This is going to be basically addressing the mechanical brake, and this is going to be the same as a lot of the basic Avid, you know, the BB7s, BB5, stuff like that. Alright, so, you know, again, we just want to squeeze those things in, and just this particular style, you're just going to guide them in through the bottom here, like so. Sometimes I'll take a pick or something, small Allen wrench, and just push through the hole just to make sure everything's lined up there. Run our little pin through there. A little safety pin back in place, and now we're ready to put our wheel in and adjust it. Alright, so got my wheel in place here, and you can see there's a pretty decent little gap on this side, and you know, as I tighten my caliper in, you can see it push the rotor over there. So go ahead and get this side just stationary as close as we can there, to where it's not quite rubbing. Normally, another thing, these I would adjust the screws there and you know, bring the caliper that way slightly, but just the way my mounts there that I made this frame, it's pretty well touching the frame there, so I'm pretty limited on how far I can go in, but yeah, that's basically another thing to get the pads a little centered up before you start actually adjusting them there. Alright, so that looks pretty good there. got it fine-tuned. I don't think we've got any rubbing, and the brake action feels pretty good. So yeah, now it's time to just bed these brakes in, give them a few startups and slowdowns, and get them worked in, and we're good to go. So yeah, that's basically the process. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please leave me any questions or comments down there below in the comment section, and thanks for watching. See you guys next time.